Hi, we're going to do a short video showing you how to set up a workflow alert. So, what is an alert? An alert is a message, either an email or an SMS, that is triggered a certain number of days in advance of or subsequent to a key date on a job. At present, those key dates you can choose between the job date, so that's the year end, that quarter end, pay date, etc., etc., or from any deadline that is included on the workflow route. For deadlines, you also have a couple more options. So let's take a look. So if we go into config and edit workflow systems, and if we go into, for example, the VAT system, the alerts are configured on the workflow routes tab, and of course they are set up on a workflow route, so it's entirely feasible to have multiple workflow routes, some of them having alerts and some of them not having alerts. You just need to scroll down ever so slightly until you get to alert message triggers. I've got a couple set up here already, one that's based around the job date, one that's based around the deadline. Let's create a new alert. So the first choice we have here is between job date and deadline. Job date, if that is selected, you would be triggering an alert a certain number of days before or after the job date. Deadline, let's select that, brings up the second option here. This is where we're actually choosing the deadline, so just the one here, that deadline. On the year-end accounts and CT system, you'd most likely have at least 3 deadlines there: the company's house filing, CT payment, and CT filing. When you're choosing a deadline, you also get this release filter, which has 2 options: either send always, so in that case this alert will be triggered for all deadlines, so it's always going to be sent, or you can go for the only if not completed. And what that means is that it would have a look and see if your deadline has been completed, so if it does have a green tick on the job card, and it would only trigger the alert if it doesn't have that green tick. Offset is the number of days, so for a deadline, in reality this is always going to be a minus. You're always going to be wanting to alert people to an upcoming deadline. It would seem fairly pointless to be sending this message 10 days after the deadline. But of course for job date it might well be before or after. So let's say -10. We then choose a template. So I'll glance back at the template screen later on in the video, but I have 3 set up that are linked to my VAT system. So I'd perhaps select this VAT submission reminder. Delivery target. So there is a excuse me, there is a separate video covering this topic in more detail, but I'll just explain the options that we're seeing right here. So the first one is search client fields, and what that will do is when an email alert is triggered in relation to client X, it will go to the client X client card and it will find the email address field there. So the email field is found by looking for the client field that is tagged as being the email field. If it's an SMS message, then the same applies to the phone field. Below that, you're then going to see any tags that you have set up on your system. I have 4 currently, and this is a more detailed, more thorough way of targeting a recipient or recipients. So if I select VAT tag, what this will do is it will go to the client and it will look through all of the contacts that are linked to that client. So that might be, for example, 2 or 3 directors, the bookkeeper, whoever it might be, and it will send this message to every one of them that has the VAT tag. Finally, delivery method is where you're choosing between SMS and email. Of course, this is quite a long template, so realistically I'm going to do email. SMS much more suited for very short messages. So I hit save, and that's my alert set up. I just want to quickly go over and click on the menu that's labeled with the firm name and click on the messaging system and go to the template editor. This is again covered in a separate video, but here are the templates that I have set up currently. So the one that I selected just now was this one here, that submission reminder. An important thing to remember with the alerts is that, and I'm just going to click edit to open up this template, is that you don't, although you know the point in time at which the alert will be triggered, so a certain number of days before or after the job date or a deadline, you don't really know with 100% certainty what stage the job will be at. So I would, with caution, use any reference to job actual dates, the job dates here, just because these will only return a value if you've gone through that stage. So you can't guarantee that they will have a value. Now for the target dates, the same would apply if the target dates are triggered when a stage is completed. But of course, if you are triggering target dates on job creation, you're totally safe to use those in an alert message template because you know they're going to exist from the second the job exists. My one here has, let's have a look at what we've got. Just a reminder that VAT return for quarter ending, blah, 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 is due to be submitted. And I've got the deadline. And I have included a target date, so I didn't include any actual dates there. It would be good to show you an actual alert being triggered, but they are actually sent 9:30 every morning, so it's a little bit difficult to rig one up for a demo. So for example, if you have a deadline of the 31st of August and you are triggering that on -10, that will be sent on the 21st of August and they're sent at 9:30. On UK systems, that's 9:30 UK time. Okay, so I think that's about all we can do on the topic of alerts. Just thinking if there's anything else to cover. No, I think that's everything. If you've got any queries with any of this, obviously just do get in touch with the Glide team and we'd be happy to help. Okay, cheers.